In these parts, mercy's easy to find. It's justice that tends to go missing. They called him Judge Welcome Walker. Terence Walker was known far and wide as a liberal bleeding heart and lenient to a fault to first-time offenders, or second time, if we're being honest. His courtroom was known for turning what should have been harsh charges into opportunities for personal growth. That's why Travis Morgan's sentence read more like an orientation brochure. $75 and a week in the Restorative Labor Placement Program at Spring Hollow Renewal Center, pushing a mower past locked wards. It didn't matter that the girl in question was barely 17 and still slept with a nightlight, or that her story never changed, not even once. Travis grinned his way out of that courtroom after signing his plea agreement, winked at her over his shoulder. Hell, he even shook the judge's hand. He drove out to the center the next Monday morning. It was way outside of town on a big parcel of private land. The building sat beyond a stretch of state forest down a gated service road marked Authorized Personnel Only. From the outside, it looked like just another wing of a regional health complex, sterile and well-funded, with lots of sprawling lawns just waiting to be landscaped by him. 20 years in Parchman, or one measly week of raking and weeding. Hell, it was easier than the community service he'd seen on TV. He half expected they'd throw in a free t-shirt when it was all over. Without prompting, the large black security gate buzzed open when Travis drove up. Beyond that, there was a large circular drive that branched out to the parking area and brought you around to the main entrance. Not knowing the parking situation, he pulled his car up near the front door and got out. A woman immediately came out to greet him. "Welcome to Spring Hollow Renewal Center," the woman said, smiling like she meant it. "We've been expecting you." She didn't look like a nurse, more like someone from a high-end spa. White tunic, no badge, hair pinned just so. "You must be Mr. Kinsey. We've got your suite all ready. Why don't you come inside and get changed into something a little more comfortable?" His mouth agape, she led him inside to the reception desk and smiled to the young man behind it. "This is Mr. Kinsey."
"Welcome," the receptionist said. "We have so much planned for you."
He reached under the desk and produced a folded robe, plush and gray, with a soft monogram stitched on the left-hand chest area. SHRC was written in fancy type, slightly covered by a pair of comfy-looking house slippers balanced on top. He opened his mouth to protest. This was going a little far. He didn't know who this Mr. Kinsey fellow was, but he was here to do his time as he thought of it, and he wanted to get credit for doing it. It was definitely not spa time. The woman's voice broke his train of thought. "Of course, after you're settled, we can go over your treatment plan, massage, guided meditation, or one of our signature detox protocols. You'll find most of our clients prefer a soft start." She said clients, not patients, not workers. And just like that, the heat drained from his spine. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad after all. Travis thought he might just let this go a little further to see exactly how far he could get. He convinced himself that it was worth the chance. When was he ever going to be able to afford a spa vacation of his own? He followed her down a hallway lit like sunset, past softly humming air purifiers and modern art that looked expensive and forgettable. His room smelled like lavender. There were no locks on the door, no cameras he could see. A glass of something bright and green waited on the bedside table, already sweating in the light. He picked it up. Cucumber maybe? Something with melon or mint? There was a sharp edge underneath it, green and bitter, like grass and metal. He turned to look at the woman still standing near the door. "Go ahead," she said, smiling. "It's a special blend." Her smile hadn't changed since she met him at the door. It was a little creepy, he thought. He shrugged and, putting the glass to his lips, chugged the whole thing. It had a bit of a stronger taste.
"Oh," he said, "why does healthy have to taste so bad?"
"Indeed," she said, still smiling. She tilted her head. "I doubt you've ever tasted that particular blend."
"Oh yeah, this is my first time at a place like this."
He walked around the room, picking things up.
"I guess it shows, huh?"
"Not at all, sir," she said in that same chipper voice. "We are absolutely thrilled to have you with us." He stopped the tour of his room abruptly. A faint metallic warmth bloomed behind his tongue, and the room's edges seemed to fuzz. His eyelids began to feel heavy.
"Huh?"
"Something wrong?" she asked. He stared at the glass in his hand.
"What was in this?"
His words slurring. A man in scrubs stepped in, tablet glowing.
"The same drug we pulled from your victim's blood,"
he said, scrolling his readout.
"We just reformulated it into a sublingual microemulsion so it works faster. And we cranked up the dose for a big fella like you."
Travis blinked. His thoughts were swimming now. He dropped the glass to the floor, where it shattered just before he fell to his knees. He looked down to see his knees were bleeding into the bits of the broken glass. He tried standing, but all he managed was to topple forward, his face barely missing shards of glass as it hit the floor. His view went dark. When Travis woke, he was dressed in all white, no memory of changing, no sign of his old clothes. The robe was gone. His feet were bare, his knees bandaged. He tried to sit up, but couldn't, not all the way. His muscles ached and were sluggish, like they were moving underwater. He finally managed to sit up and swing his legs over the side of the bed. He put a hand to his head. The movement made him dizzy. The bed was the only furniture in the room. It had thick, leathery strain straps that, unused, dragged the floor. A voice crackled overhead, calm and pleasant. "Welcome, Mr. Kinsey. Orientation begins in 5 minutes. Please proceed to Group Room C." The room lit up. No lamps, just the walls themselves glowing soft, sterile white. There was a single door, no knob. It hissed open. Travis slowly stood and inched his way to the door. The hallway looked different now. No spa scent, no art, just sterile walls and silence. He was clearly in another part of the building. A man passed him, pale and shuffling. Vacant stare. Then another. Travis turned to go the other way, but someone blocked the hall. Another guest. Tall and heavy-set, smiling a bit too wide. He raised his hand like he'd done it before, like it was routine. "Morning, Mr. Kinsey," he said. "You ready to be better today?" Travis didn't answer. He just averted his eyes and walked around. The hallway was long and sleek, not even having handrails along the walls like you see in hospitals or the like. He passed one room with the door shut, but he could hear crying from within. He paused to listen at the door. The voice came muffled from beyond. "I'll be good," it said between sobs. "I'll be good." "Oh, hell no," he said, backing away. He turned and headed down the hall at a quicker pace. At the end, he found Group Room C. It was most definitely not a spa lounge. It was linoleum floors, plastic chairs, and a woman with a clipboard who looked like she hadn't blinked since the Nixon administration. Around her sat a dozen other guests, turning to look at him with vacant expressions. They all stared at him. No one spoke until she did. "Let's all welcome Mr. Kinsey. He will be on the empathic recalibration protocol." A slow ripple of nods. He opened his mouth to argue, but the moment he tried backing out of the doorway, 2 attendants grabbed his arms from either side, smooth and silent. One held a small cup, the other a clipboard. "Now, Mr. Kinsey," the woman at the front said, still focused on her notes, "Section 7B of your plea agreement grants Spring Hollow full discretion to assign you as restorative labor placement or as an inpatient participant, depending on your therapeutic need." Travis snarled.
"I didn't agree to anything like that. This is illegal as hell."
She finally lifted her gaze. "Do you remember the terms of your plea deal?" Travis opened his mouth, closed it. "We've reviewed all the court documents," she said evenly. "You and your defense accepted the terms without contest, and with great haste, I might add. Maybe you should have paid a bit more attention to the details. Refuse to participate, and Judge Walker will revoke the agreement. That means you won't be here. You'll be serving the 20 years you bargained your way out of." That name hit him like a slap. He remembered the judge's wry smile as he shook his hand. He thought nothing of it at the time, but now... Before he could gather a counterpunch, the taller attendant held out the cup again.
"Hydration's important, especially with this combo."
"What is it?" Travis asked, narrowing his eyes. The man smiled.
"Round 2, buddy. Drink up."
Travis stared at him. Then, without thinking, he took the cup and drank. They all watched him, not judgmental, not angry, just observing. Finally, the bigger attendant gave him a solid clap on the shoulder.
"Good man, Mr. Kinsey. Can't wait to see how you handle Phase 2.
The orderlies turned and went back to their duties, and the woman running the group session started speaking to the group as a whole. A minute later, Travis grabbed the closest folding chair and sat down. Not because he wanted to, but because it was hard to stand, hard to think. The voices in the room seemed to waver, as did the lighting, although the light was more of a flicker. He heard a voice say something about group intention and empathy alignment. He wasn't sure if it was her or his own. He had a vague feeling of falling to the floor, and as the lights went out, he heard a voice somewhere ask, "How do you think she felt?" 2 days after Travis was scheduled to come home, his sister called the courthouse. "Spring Hollow won't tell me anything," she said.
"Well, hon, there's nothing to tell. He never showed,"
the clerk told her.
"We filed a parole violation."
"But how can that be? I spoke to him the day before."
"Ma'am," the clerk interrupted. "Now, I have personally spoken with Deborah over there at the facility, and she said he never showed up. She said the only person that arrived that day was,
The clerk's voice paused, reading the name from her notes.
Mr. Kinsey."
"I don't understand," she said.
"Now, I get you may have questions," the clerk added, "but he's not there. He never was. And if he's fled the state, well, that's on him."
Back at Spring Hollow Renewal Center, the judge's voice crackled through the main office speaker.
"Now, how's our newest arrival settling in?"
he asked, like he was inquiring about the weather. The head nurse smiled without looking up from her chart.
"Oh, he's adjusting just fine."
A pause stretched heavy and knowing.
"Good. We don't want another Thompson situation. Has he started accepting his responsibilities yet?"
"Most of them do. Eventually," she said.
"Oh, and expect a new arrival tomorrow. I got a drunk driver in court today begging for a plea deal.
His tone was almost cheerful. In the therapy room, the lights buzzed gently overhead. Travis sat hunched in a molded plastic chair, arms limp in his lap, drool pooled in the corner of his mouth. His robe was slightly askew. The counselor gave him a warm, empty smile. "Whenever you're ready, Travis." He blinked once, twice.
My name is Travis,
He mumbled, his voice flat and glassy.
I'm ready to be better.
Outside the therapy wing, known as Walker's Ward, there was a simple quote etched into a limestone wall. "Let them call me soft. Clay still breaks bone." Judge Terrence J. Walker. They say the South's soft on crime. Bless their hearts for not looking too close. If you like this story, go on and tap that like button before the gavel drops again, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales where mercy comes easy, but justice, well, that's a bit harder to come by. Sweet dreams if you can find them. I'll see you next time on Dead Time Stories HQ.